What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports, back again with another one. The 2023-2024 regular season has concluded, and the playoffs started with 20 teams. When you talk about play-in matchups, a lot of people don't want to count the play-in as real playoffs, but anytime your season is on the line and you're trying to move forward in the playoffs, and then you lose a playoff game and your season is over and other teams moves on to the next matchup, that should be considered a playoff matchup. So I know they don't really count the play-in matchups as real playoffs, but I do, man. And we started off with 20 teams, and now we're here with only 8 teams that have a chance to hoist up the Larry O'Brien Trophy. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, the defending NBA champions, led by soon-to-be 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic, lost game 1 to the number 1 defensive team in the NBA this season, Minnesota Timberwolves, led by Michael Jordan reincarnated Anthony Edwards, who is, in my opinion, will be one of the faces of the sport when LeBron James and Steph Curry lead the scene, the NBA scene. But the NBA is in good hands, man. But one thing the NBA should have did was they probably should have been putting teams like Minnesota and Oklahoma City, in Orlando, more on national TV. When they had them Saturday night primetime matchups on ABC, they should have been featuring those teams. I don't think any one of those teams I just mentioned was on any of the Saturday night schedule this season. I don't think any. Matter of fact, I know now one of them 3 was on. It was either the Lakers or Golden State. They'll throw Philadelphia in there, here and there, Milwaukee here and there. You know, but for the most part, it was Lakers, Warriors, Nuggets, Heat, Celtics. That's pretty much it, man. Then you throw in Milwaukee and Philadelphia here and there. And you throw in Dallas. Dallas might have jumped in there maybe one game. That's pretty much it. But the NBA is in good hands, but I don't know what type of race they're going to do now that LeBron James and Steph Curry are no longer participating in this playoffs, as LeBron James was eliminated in the first round by the Denver Nuggets, and the Golden State Warriors were eliminated in the play-in. With all that being said, I told you guys that the Minnesota Timberwolves were the real deal. Now, I'm not predicting them to beat the Denver Nuggets. I still like Denver in 7, but I'm not surprised that they won game 1. When you look at the matchups, they're going to give Denver Nuggets problems throughout this series with their length inside. Everybody knows about the length inside with the Twin Towers of Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, but they're long on the perimeter too. You look at one of the best kept secrets in NBA as far as big time perimeter defender. Hamilton, that guy is big time. Jaden Hamilton, that guy is big time defender. If he ain't on the first team All NBA defense, then the people that selected don't know what the hell they doing. This guy is big time, and he's going to present problems to Curry throughout this series. Jamal Murray going to really go in his bag to put up the numbers against this guy. Man, this guy is longer, taller, more athletic, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see what type of numbers Jamal Murray produced. Because as we know, he struggled in the Lakers series. He just came alive when it was time to come alive, in the moment of truth. And hit a lot of big-time, late clutch shots. And people kind of forgot about that he struggled in that series. When you look at his field goal percentage from the 3-point and from the 2-point, it was off from what he produced in previous playoffs and what he produced during the regular season. With all that being said, the Indiana Pacers, the 6th seed, the lowest seed, remain in the playoffs, take on the 2 seed New York Knicks. The lunch player team, man. Them guys are gritty. Them guys play hard. They crashed the boards. One of the best offensive rebounding teams this year. Killed the 76ers on the board and just out-hustled, outworked. It seemed like they wanted it more than the 76ers. They was able to win a very close and competitive 6-game series, taking on one of the best and most explosive offenses in basketball, the Indiana Pacers. When you go by points per game, the Indiana Pacers are one of the top teams in basketball. Play at a frenetic pace, pushing the ball. That style of play is very, very exciting to watch, and it's very, very successful in the regular season. But when the game slows down in the playoffs, that style of play will be tested, and I think it'll be tested mightily in this series as the New York Knicks, led by Jalen Brunson. Or in my opinion, if he's not in the top 5 of the MVP this year, something's wrong. And people that's voting on that need to reconsider who they voted on in the top 5, man. I'm not saying he should win the MVP, but he definitely should be in the top 5. You know, you got Jokic, you got Luka, you got Shea Gildress, you got Tatum, and then you got Jalen Brunson. That should be your top 5. You know, and Edwards, you know, he probably should be right outside that top 5, maybe 6. And that should be the case, man, as far as the voting goes. We will see what happens. And we will see what transpires when they release the voting for the MVP, because we know that Jokic is going to win it, but I just want to see who finishes in the top 5. That's what I'm going to be looking at. And hopefully, Jalen Brunson gets his just due as one of the premier players in the NBA. With all that being said, I like the Knicks to win that series in 7 games. I've been hearing a lot of guys on TV, and a lot of these guys are pretty much going both ways. You got some people picking the Pacers and some people picking the Knicks. And I like the Knicks, man. I know a lot of people saying, well, the Pacers beat them 2 out of 3 and they blew them out the last time they played, and that was way back in February. So I don't know how much weight that game carries. We're in May right now, and the playoffs is different than the regular season. I don't know who was healthy and who wasn't healthy, who played and who didn't play, who was on a back-to-back or who wasn't on a back-to-back, or who played 4 games in 5 days. I don't know what the case was back in February 10th, but all I know is that the basketball playoff is much slower than the basketball in the regular season. In the regular season, man, you got these high-scoring games. You got these games played at a frenetic pace. You got these games that are more up-tempo, but the playoffs are usually played at a slower pace. And it's all about executing in the half court. And the Indiana Pacers will have to execute at a high level in the half court to get by the New York Knicks. Now, Jalen Brunson has to be the best player in the series. He can't be outplayed by Halliburton and expect for his team to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. They must keep getting contribution from their role players like Josh Hart, Devchenko, Robinson coming off the bench being a force in the paint. Isaiah Hartenstein must do the dirty work, rebound, set picks, and do what a big man supposed to do, be a presence in the paint. If that's what transpires for the New York Knicks, then the New York Knicks has a good opportunity to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Indiana Pacers must push the ball. First of all, they got to play defense. That's one of the reasons why I'm not picking them in this series. They're one of the worst defensive teams in basketball. I know that out of these 8 teams that's left in the playoffs, I know that for a fact that they're the worst defensive team out of the teams that's left in the playoffs. But they must be able to play respectable defense. Now, when we look back at this last series versus the Milwaukee Bucks, an injured Milwaukee Bucks team that was missing their best player, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, they played defense in games, but they weren't consistent with the defense. And what really alarmed me was Game 5. When they were up 3-1, they had a chance to close that series out in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee was not only without their best player, but they were without their second best player, as Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard did not play in Game 5, and they blew out the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers gave up 115 points to a team that was missing their 2 best players. Got blowed out 115-92. A 23-point win for the Milwaukee Bucks. And that game alarmed me. Now, they went home and rectified the situation. They went home and closed out the Milwaukee Bucks and beat them. I think it was they beat them by double digits. Blew them out. But when you look at how they play defense throughout the season, they're not a consistent, good defensive team. They can play defense here and there. They can show flashes of playing good, solid defense, but for the most part, they've been a bad defensive team all year, and I think they're going to be a bad defensive team in this matchup with the New York Knicks. And the Knicks being a high executing team in the half court, I think they will exploit that. And I think they win this series 4-3. I think this series, the home team going to be successful for the most part in this series. And I think it ultimately goes to Game 7. And I think it gets decided in the last 5 minutes. And Brunson and the role players step up. I think they dominate the Indiana Pacers in the half court. Indiana Pacers really don't have a lot of size outside of Miles Turner, their center, who's a guy that likes to hang out on the perimeter and shoot threes. He's not really a low post player. He can score in the post, but that's not really something that he hangs his hat on. So he's going to have to be able to get in there and bang and get rebounds and be competitive. They don't have to, Indiana Pacers don't have to win the rebounding, but they just can't get smashed and slaughtered on the offensive glass like the 76ers were. If they're competitive in rebounds, especially on the offensive side, and keep the New York Knicks from getting second and third opportunities to score on a particular possession, then they have a chance to win the series because they have the more talented team. They have the better overall roster, and they have a championship level coach, Rick Carlisle. I know Rick is going to be preaching to his team to, hey man, we cannot get killed on the offensive glass. We must crash the glass. If that means some of the guards going to have to help out on the rebounding and don't leak out on a fast break, then so be it. And another thing we got to do is Miles Turner's got to average double digits in rebounds. Everybody knows the guy can score, but he's got to be up in that 12 to 15 rebounds in this series, in my opinion. If he's able to do that, along with what Halliburton's done on the perimeter. Halliburton is not healthy either, man. I seen him with a back brace on in that series against Milwaukee Bucks. So I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know if he's experiencing back spasm or he has something in the disc of the back that's creating the problems. I don't know the diagnosis, but he don't seem to be playing at the level that he played at in the regular season. And a large part and a large reason for that is not only that he's not healthy, is that he's not able to play his style of play. Like I said, the playoffs, the games slow down. That means the possessions are lower than in the regular season, and that presents less opportunity for him to get out there on the break and score and get his teammates involved. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But I like the Knicks in 7 games. Very, very interesting matchup. Minnesota and Denver play game 2. I like the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. I think all these series are going to go long outside of the Boston-Cleveland series. Maybe I'll break down that series tomorrow, how I think that series will go and how many games. And there's another series that's coming up tomorrow, too. That's the Dallas Mavericks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'll be breaking down that series tomorrow, too, and who I like in that series, which I think is going to be very, very competitive, and it's a true 50-50 matchup. Follow me on Facebook, JB Sports. Follow me on TikTok, JB Sports New Media. Follow me on Twitch, Briscoe Josh 77071. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend, and I holla.